That's a quad feed! Let's go, guys. What's up? Sam here, and I'm kind of on the edge today because there's not a whole lot of Apple news to talk about, which is making me get a little bit worried. I'm trying to keep the sub count real high. But still, we got some cool stories to talk about, from a second iPad Pro release happening to the iPad Air coming a little bit sooner than we may have expected. And we also have further evidence, like a photo confirming the iPhone 12's name. So the first time we've seen it on packaging. And on top of that, some cool accessory stuff too. So drop a like if you guys are excited. Hit subscribe for more. All right, so first up, the iPad Pro. I've kind of been going back and forth on recommending the one that came out earlier this year to people just because it has been up in the air. Even when it came out in March, there were already rumors, before the pandemic really hit home, that a second iPad Pro was coming. Then the narrative switched. It was no second iPad Pro this year. And now a reliable source, Minchico, is back saying that not only is the second iPad Pro coming before the end of the year, sometime in the fourth quarter, so before December, it's also going to have some cool stuff inside. Like the first time we're ever going to be seeing a mini LED display. This is probably a gross simplification, but like the way I think about mini LED is just OLED on steroids. So what's the benefit of OLED? It's super high clarity per pixel. You can turn off individual pixels so you get true deep black levels. And it looks really sharp. But mini LED is like even darker blacks, which I don't know how that's possible, but it's an LED that can get basically as dark, if not darker, than shutting off a pixel, while also getting brighter than OLED actually can. So the screen on the new iPad will probably get a nits upgrade if Apple wants to do that. The technology allows it. This new iPad is also probably going to have 5G. Now, I don't know really why people get cellular iPads. Like, I would love to see the breakdown in stats. Like, it's gotta be less than 5 or 10% of all buyers getting cellular. Because yeah, if you're a business person doing business, I get that you might want that function, like your standalone device to have cellular, but like basically every cellular plan in the world involves a hotspot now. So you can just hotspot from your phone by tapping on your iPad, and it's super easy. So I don't know, do you guys ever use that? Am I losing my mind out here, or like is it a bigger feature than we think? I mean, it makes sense too because 5G is launching on the iPhone in October, so potentially this new iPad Pro comes in October or November, and Apple's like, hey, and we've got 5G on the iPad as well. And then it'll probably come to the Apple Watch like next year, I'd assume. But mini LED 5G, pretty significant upgrades for the iPad Pro, like crazy that we're probably going to see the second upgrade this year. So try not to buy an iPad Pro right now because it's probably going to get updated again, and it's going to be the most significant screen update since we got ProMotion in 2017. And speaking of the iPad series, the iPad Air, Apple has said it's coming in October, right? But didn't you find that a little bit weird, considering the fact that Apple held a September event and everything else was available immediately, and then they're like, oh, and this one product is available in October, which would lead you to believe like either it's coming really late in October and they just wanted to get it out of the way, or that maybe they're just being conservative with those estimates. And it appears, according to a listing on Adorama, which is a camera website, they say that the iPad is shipping on September 30th. So you could say, well, this isn't confirmed, it's not from Apple. They've left the listing up there. It hasn't gone away. It seems like they know somehow that this iPad is shipping on September 30th. What else makes this date believable? Well, the screenshot that's been going around from Apple's event, they reference this date of September 30th in the ad for the iPad Air. Okay, now Apple's a marketing genius. They could pick any date. Why would you pick September 30th? It also lines up with what we're seeing. So I think there's a good chance it could go out then. You might say, no, Apple said October. They announced it and they said October. Why? They're not going to change, bro. Like, shut up. You don't know anything. First of all, you're disrespectful, so watch your mouth. Second of all, Apple has done this before. The Magic Keyboard. Remember how they said that was coming in May? They released it a half month early, in April, out of the blue. They knew that it was probably going to come in May, but something changed, and it was able to come out a little bit early. So I have a feeling that Apple was able to get the supply for the iPad moving a little bit quicker than expected, even though September 30th is basically October, like literally the day before October. Apple probably didn't want to say end of September because it would be I mean, they're like, it's basically October. So they're giving us a heads up. It wasn't coming with the rest of the products, but it is coming really soon. We do know, though, that the biggest product all year, or one of the biggest products of the year, is coming in a couple of weeks now. It's the iPhone 12 lineup. It is coming in October. It is confirmed. It is happening. And we now have seen a hard leak of the naming. We heard from Love to Dream it was going to be Mini and 12 and then Pro and Pro Max. But now, with our own eyes on iPhone casing, we have literal confirmation. This is real. And what's so fascinating here is that they're using the same Mini branding that they used with the iPad Mini or the Mac Mini. Like, to emphasize the mininess, they actually use a lowercase m. You might look at that and say, oh, Apple wouldn't do that. Yeah, that's how they do the rest of the Mini branding. It would be off if the Mini was capital. So 5.4-inch iPhone 12 Mini, 6.1-inch iPhone 12, 6.1-inch Pro iPhone 12 Pro, 6.7-inch iPhone 12 Pro Max. Personally, that has been the clearest naming of these iPhones in years. Like, it's a very clear differentiation. This is the smallest Mini, this is the biggest Max, and then you got two of the same size in between. One just has a Pro after it because it has extra features. I love it. I think it's great, and it makes sense just by reading the names. Now, I've also seen this image floating around online, and honestly, I have no idea if this is authentic. It looks like it could be like a shift in the design direction for Apple's like silicon cases, but I don't know if this is fake or from a third party or somebody's just messing around, but like the square camera bump does look to be, I don't know, about the right size for the iPhone 12 from what we're hearing. I don't know. They look okay. If you like Apple's cases, maybe this is our first look. Maybe it's BS. I'm sharing it just because it's kind of interesting. Okay, now a little bit more experimental part of the video where I'm going to show you some things that will probably materialize soon, but that are currently unreleased. The first is, it's pretty slick. It's a braided lightning cable, but it's in space gray. We know that Apple, when they removed the charger from the box of the iPhones this year, instead of just being like, oh, and you get the same horrible cable that's going to break, they're going to market something as recyclable or reusable. Seems like Apple is doing something with the braided cable here that is made from fibers or something that they're reusing. And I think that's how they're going to really try to convince you it's worth losing the charger. But it looks slick. This is in black. We've also seen it in white. But unfortunately, I don't think the black is going to be shipping with the iPhones. Like, fingers crossed it does on the Pro phones. But it seems like this is actually for the iMac Pro and the Mac Pro. So in the future, probably after this October or maybe even an event in November, Apple will be releasing this cable as a way to help the environment. But it seems like we're probably just going to get the white braided, which I know is sad, but I wanted to show you this because it's a first look at this black cable. Also, remember how the Olympics were supposed to happen this year? Yeah. That would have been sick. I actually applied to be an intern there at NBC, and you didn't accept me. I worked for the 2018 NBC Olympics, which was actually really cool, and I applied for 2020, and you didn't take me? Really? 260,000 subscribers isn't good enough for you? What else could I do to earn it back? Whatever, NBC. I'll just stay here in the studio and work from home. But there are some released, or I should say, unreleased Apple Watch bands that we now have our first images of, courtesy of our best friend of the channel, Love to Dream. So back in 2016, Apple did this super cool collection of bands that were specialized per country. And they were only sold, like, I think in Brazil, like in Rio de Janeiro, because that's where the Olympics were taking place in 2016. So Apple was probably going to do something similar this year, and they had the stuff ready. Like, here's one for Denmark and then also Japan here. And you can see, coincidentally, like, these two are color inverted, but they were versions of the Sport Loop, the sort of more fabric-y band. They looked really cool. They looked super cool. Like, I would love to see US, like a Brazil one, China, just to see how Apple worked in the details into these bands. They look slick. I don't know how these were obtained, but Apple has seemingly like produced them, and some are leaking out. So probably they're just going to sit in a warehouse until next year in 2021. And then we're going to see, you know, the really cool stuff for the bands. But, you know, no Olympics this year. I guess we don't get any super cool Apple Watch bands as well. Anyway, I think that's about it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Welcome to all the new subs yet again. You guys are killing it out here. Love you. And I will catch you cool cats in my next mother trucking video. All right. See you later. Bye.